Hey guys, Josh here, CrossFit Rema, talking Tuesday's workout. But before we do, we're going to talk recovery from Monday's workout, which just happened to have about 1 million squats in it. I have here compression wrap. You've probably seen this or used this at the box. It's really easy to get a hold of. You get on Rogue Fitness and you just look for their compression voodoo floss, whatever you want to call it. You can also use a bike inner tube if you don't want to order anything and you have one of those lying around. But I'm going to show you just kind of what would be a quick follow-up and then give you even another idea if you don't want to mess with any of this hassle. So if I could, my cameraman's going to pan down, get a hold of the quad. So after you start to get the squats start to set in, we're going to try to loosen up the sliding surface of the leg. And here's how I'm going to do that. I'm just going to start in. Now there's a lot of ways to do this, but I'll start right above the knee, so the big bony part of the knee, and I won't put it 100% stretch, but I will put about half of that, maybe a little bit more, whatever it is you don't want to cut off circulation. Then I go about 50% over the other strap, and then when I come back up, I go about 50% over. So I'm not creating gaps and pinching, I'm going over, and then I go about 50% over. And again, I'm not yanking it so hard that it's gonna cut circulation off. I'm going about half of that. Now, I'm gonna do this just for purposes of demonstration. I would normally go all the way up and complete the wrap. But once you've completed that, you find it, keep a little looser at the top, tie it off. Now, after I have that position, I can do any number of things with this. Maybe it's just slightly bending, rotating. Maybe it's creeping into quarter squats. Maybe it's getting into full squats, and you can see it's a little bit harder for me to get down into that position with that on there, shocking. And then I get into position. I'll do that for as long as I can tolerate, but no longer than about 90 seconds. Then I'll strip this down. And what it should have done is be able to get some of that metabolic waste, some of that soreness out of the lymphatic system, thinking about draining it. But let's say that I don't want to mess with any of that at all. I can foam roll it, still tissue therapy, different tissue therapy, but tissue therapy all the same. If I don't have a foam roller, then I can use a metal water bottle. That can be very aggressive, but that can also work. Make sure that you're breathing when you actually do it. Now, let's get to the warm-up for today's workout. The first thing I'm going to start to prep is a scale. So how that differs from like an RDL is I'll start out lifting my leg up forward and then try to take it straight back. That'll be one. So again, I take my leg up forward, straight as I can. Both are straight, both are locked if I can. And then I try to take it straight back and then come back. I'll do 5 on the right and then 5 on the left. I'm still gonna continue that hinging action, but I'm gonna stagger it. Then I'm gonna hinge, open my hands up, so airplane, and then I'm going to airplane, and then if I can, airplane. And so on and so forth. I'll do 5 with my stance staggered, right foot forward, and then 5 with my stance staggered, left foot forward. Then my last piece, I'm gonna get into plank position, tighten up midline, and then open up. So I get rotation, starts to prep for that side plank that we have coming up, so on and so forth. I'll do a total of 10 of those, and I'll do that entire warm-up 3 times through. For my strength portion today, 20 walking good mornings. It would be really cool to do this like outside where the neighbors see you and it's just crazy. Then they come out and ask what's going on. You keep appropriately distanced and you invite them over and all the things. And then I do 40-second weighted wall sit. And here's what that walking good morning is going to look like. You can see I have my backpack that I have loaded with 455 pounds of stones or whatever. And I get into that. I'm going to do it in a stagger stance. So I'm going to take a step out just like I was doing that airplane. And then good morning. Now, what makes this kind of like a good morning as opposed to a death march is I'm putting the weight on my back. So it is a little bit more back loaded, which is fantastic. It's a spinal loaded exercise. I just make sure that I keep the hinge. So when I'm actually walking, I'm not folding, I'm not squatting. I'm hinging as far as I can go down without breaking at the midline or at the lower back. Okay, so I do 20 of those. Then my weighted wall sit, I'm gonna find a spot on the wall, find a way to hold this thing. Maybe I go right here. I push my knees away from each other, but keep the big toes down on the ground. Hold position for 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 40 1,000. That's definitely a CrossFit count, and I do that for 6 total rounds. For my conditioning piece, I have 30 seconds side plank right, 30 seconds side plank left, and then 30 seconds double unders. The transitions are you just getting up and going into the next piece, and I will do that for 8 rounds. Let's look at the side plank. I'm just gonna do it on my left side. So once I get into side plank, here, hold position, try not to let the hip sag, and if you do, you probably get some sort of positive punishment from that shoulder. So the more active I can stay at the midline, the much better it feels at that shoulder. It's big time shoulder strengthening also, but obviously it's gonna be a lot of anti-rotational midline. So I do 30 seconds right, 30 seconds left. Then I get into my double under. Let's say I don't have my jump rope. Let's say I don't have a jump rope. Let's say I need to work on some ankle strengthening. Okay, well, I happen to have a sandbag. You can realistically use anything that has a little bit of height, but all I'm gonna do is toe touches for 30 seconds. So my cameraman will pan down. I start with 1 foot up, 1, 2, 3. And I would do that for 30 seconds. Now, cool down, we're gonna go from scorpion to spider. What I consider scorpion to spider. Everybody has a weird name or a different name for it. I'm gonna get down into this position. I'm gonna try to arch one leg up, and then I'm gonna kick through onto the outside, keeping the leg that's back off of the ground, and squeeze the glutes on that leg and press through, and then I'll switch to the other side. I prefer to hold it until I make change into that sort of an exercise, so I do that for a total of 2 to 3 minutes, again, holding on each side until I felt like I made change.